Vicky Hearn in favor.
Here.
Mary Hess. Tom Mattia.
Here.
Victoria Newport. Here. Tracy Williams.
Here. And we have three very special guests tonight. They're going to help us with the pledge of allegiance. Nadia and Nevaeh and Joseph Mitchell will lead us in the pledge of allegiance. All right. Here we go. Ready?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You do that? All right. Turns up. Okay, public participation and recognition, and this is always one of the more enjoyable parts of the evening. Tonight, we'd like to recognize Jacob McCarter. Where's Jacob? Jacob, come on up here, please. Because this is a big deal, all right? Right there is funny. The Board of Education will recognize senior Jacob McCarter for being named as a finalist in the 2015 National Merit Scholarship Competition. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an academic competition for recognition and scholarships that began in 1955. High school students enter the National Merit Program by taking the preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test and by meeting published program entry participation requirements. They are among 8,300 of the brightest students in the United States. That's a small. Jacob, we wish you well with this. It's a big deal. That's a very elite and very small group of kids. Good luck. I hope it works for you. You can hang that on your wall. How's that? Thanks, Jacob. Well done. Yeah, I told you guys a couple meetings ago, one of my favorite nights of the year is the 8th grade science fair. That's always a blast. And it's really interesting to see the varying concepts of questions these kids come up with. So tonight, we're going to recognize the following students for who received outstanding marks at the Clinton Rosette Science Fair on February 6th of 2015. Your name, guys. Excuse me, I'm going to ask you to kind of come up and line up behind Cohen, okay? And just stand there until we get done. Again, these are the ones that received outstanding marks. And by the way, with the achievement of the outstanding mark, they are now advancing onto the regional competition, which I believe is at NIU in about, what, 3 weeks or so, something like that. And that's really cool. I mean, that's fun just to walk through. All right, first, Kirsten Cole, Caitlin Singer. Did I say your name right, Caitlin? No, I'm sorry. What is it? Singer. I'm so sorry. Michael Newman and Sawyer Vietmeyer. Or Sawyer. I happen to know for a fact that Michael is in Aurora playing basketball right now. So we got trumped by a basketball game. Mackenzie Pianowski and Catherine Olson. Aspen Hodgen and Holly Young. Where's Sadie Burke? Is she here? No Sadie? Logan Roach and Keegan Smith. Mr. Roach. It's nice to see a Roach in front of the school board, isn't it? Emma Carpenter and Lindsay Franzine, are they here? No. Glendon Williams, I'm sorry, I'm responsible for this one. He too is playing basketball tonight. Lily Peterson and Madeline Cook. Charlie Parker. Jim Small and Jacob Trapp. And lastly, Christina Rizo. Is Christina here? All right, guys, we got something here for some of you. Kristen, thank you very much. Congratulations. That's awesome. Good luck. Regionals to all of you. People. Come in here. Yeah, actually, you mind? Sawyer, there you go, in front. Well done. Thank you. We're not set up to do something amazing. This would be a great science project, Roger. How can we do this more efficiently? Well, congratulations. Yep.
No, she's not here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Good luck. This is Mr. Roach.
Another family.
Thank you. Great job, Logan. And good luck on Saturday, all right?
Who's next?
This is the Keegan Smith. Thank you. Good luck, Keegan. We'll do that.
What's up, Travis?
We're students are all here.
How do you? Trap.
Mr. Trapp, congratulations. Well done. Bear with us, we'll be right with you.
This is a great problem to have.
We do 6,000 or 400 kids graduating more efficiently than we do this. It is nice to see so many of them. There you go. Congratulations. Well done. Good luck to all of you.
You know, being away, so.
Yeah, I
Roger, thank you. Tim Vincent, thank you. I saw Tim. Where's Tim? Thanks, Tim. Ms. Fabian, thank you. Thank you.
We did it with,
Yes, you may say something. Oh, you know what? We can keep going. I'll take one. Oh, really?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's good. That's fine. Sure. Yeah. All right, well, congratulations to all of you. Thanks for giving good luck. One year, Roger. Hey, Roger. Did you have any more of those this year that where the kid was like doing gene splicing? That kid like 2 years ago. What was the most what's the word I'm looking for? Advanced, I guess.
Everybody working with NIU.
Okay.
We happen to be working in the lab at NIU, which they're allowed to do, so. This year we didn't, nobody made it over there.
Okay. Well, thanks again to all of you, Ms. Fabian. Thank you. All right. Next, we will have public comment Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order. First, we have Allison Deepak.
Hi there. I am kind of putting my parent hat on instead of my teaching hat at this moment. And I just want to bring to the forefront our one-on-one technology piece. And my hope is that you all will table it until the new board takes over the 40 members as we move forward with our financial responsibilities and fiscal responsibilities related to that. I also, on a side note, have some information from my I went to Maine East High School, which has similar demographics, 50% free and reduced lunch, but around the same enrollment. And I had a great conversation with a man named Mike Carino, who runs their Chrome Depot, which is a cute name for their Chrome, their one-on-one technology. So if you'd like that information, he'd be more than happy to talk to you. There's information regarding the ebooks, which I know when the FAC voted, there wasn't information on how much ebooks would cost. And I think there's valuable information to be heard from Mike Carino. But with my parent hat, I've been reading a book called Mind Change, How Digital Technology is Leaving a Mark on Our Brain by Susan Greenfield. And it struck a chord with me because kids, my son as well, they're using technology all the time outside of school, within school, and it's rewiring our brains. And it's new and in the forefront that we don't know all the research and data that's showing how it's changing our brain. So reading from a Kindle as opposed to reading from a laptop or a Chromebook is different than reading from a Kindle or out of a textbook is different than reading from a Chromebook and a laptop. Our brains retrieve the information differently and we don't comprehend the same. So that's my parent hat with that. I would like to know, when you make this vote, how much time my child will be on technology within the school day, because I limit it at home. I hope that there's a limitation within the school. I'm all for the learning piece, but we need to know that as taxpayers here. Is there too much screen time? If it's our younger brain, like my 4th grader, should she be on this technology as much as my current junior in high school? Maybe there is a difference based on the maturity of the brain. I'm not sure, but that's something I'd like. And then I don't want it to replace the teacher. Yes, it's important to have technology, and that's where we're going. I know it'll happen before I retire in 10 years. I know it will. But please make sure that it needs to be under the supervision of a teacher, not replacing that interaction. And that's just something I'd like you to keep in mind as you move forward with the vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Brett Wiedemeyer on one-to-one technology.
Yep, we come in strong numbers. So my questions are just more from the financial aspect of it. You know, with the new governor in place, he's making cuts to different programs, that kind of thing. We know the final numbers of what's going to happen with DeKalb school districts, and how to make a decision about knowing what those numbers are. Kind of on my wife's note on free and reduced lunch, obviously those numbers have been going up. In that budget, will we have to pay for those Chromebooks too for those families that cannot afford them? And you know, my son, as Allison said, is using the Chromebook stuff right now, or he's one of the on the pilot programs. I've talked to one of my colleagues at work. His son goes to St. Ignatius, and they're on the Chromebook stuff as well. I think one of the concerns that I have, not only on the financial aspect, is it seems like a lot of times they just go ahead and use that time to look stuff up on the internet, cut and paste the answer into whatever assignment they have. And then a lot of times, I know, because he's even told me that he actually uses some of that time to actually play games. So is there a way that we can get actually those games off those Chromebooks? And I don't think that's a very valuable thing. And also, I work in a very technology savvy industry, and we do a lot of stuff off of data. And since this is the pilot program, have we gotten the data back first and foremost to see how it's impacted the growth and are these actually beneficial? I think with my wife's note there, we should be moving forward on the technology front. Sometimes I want to make sure that we're making the right decision from the financial aspect. Then also I know that the financial committee that looked at this, there were 3 members that voted against it. And I just want to make sure that since they do have a financial background, how that will, why did they vote against it, and what was the financial impact it's going to be overall to the district. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have Joan Cochran, One-to-One Technology.
That's me. And I'm going to speak on one-to-one technology as a teacher at DeKalb High School. I think where my concern is, or my question is, one of the studies that was brought forth to the board in support of one-on-one technology talked about that professional development was provided to teachers 1 year prior to it being implemented in the schools. I really hope that that will happen for us as well when it comes to that. When will we get the professional development? How much will we get? I know when we got the smart boards, which is a wonderful piece of equipment that we have at the high school, I know there's lots of things that I can still be using that for that I don't know because I haven't really been given a heck of a lot of training on it. So I really would hate to have something similar happen with the one-on-one with the Chromebooks if we, go ahead with that. Also, just as a teacher, we've had a lot put on our plate. We have the Common Core state standards, which we have been directed to make our focus. We have to create unit plans. Now we have PARCC testing. That's another huge kind of unknown variable that we're all really working toward. That's changing how we have to look at our curriculum and what we're using. We're dealing with those things now. To put another thing on our plate really concerns me because it's such a huge undertaking. What is the data that we really have? I know it's been piloted in the middle school. I personally don't feel 1 year is sufficient data to support such an impactful decision. Student growth, what exactly does student growth look like? How is it going to be measured? I think those are really some answers that we should have before moving forward if you agree to adopt one-on-one. And then just kind of the basics. What about those kids that don't have access to internet at home? What does that look like? What kind of assignments can we give them? Again, going back to having the smart board, I'm sure when we were all given, and it's a wonderful luxury to have our laptops as teachers, smart boards is a wonderful thing. Our school can't support it. I mean, I can't tell you in a given week how many times I can't get onto email. I can't get into Skyward to do attendance. I was going to use YouTube in my speech class. I was showing speech examples. Totally buffering. I couldn't do it. So you've got to, do a lot of the stuff on the fly. That concerns me with Chromebooks. If you have your lesson planned, you don't have the support. I know that there's been talk about that's going to be put in place. I believe that's the intent. I just am concerned, is it going to really be able to happen and be supported? I think that's why we need more time to look at this and, before we would implement it. And finally, I would just like to know, what the expectation of teachers would be with the use of them. Are there going to be clear guidelines? So I'm just asking that, you please take some more time to consider all of these things before you vote on one-on-one.
All right, thank you, Joan.
You're
We're just
welcome.
over 3 minutes there, so thank you.
Okay.
All I'm going to say is that all these concerns raised tonight are very much a part of this conversation, and they have been, and they're duly noted and appreciated. Believe me, especially the financial aspects. There has been an awful lot of work done and time spent on that. And you're absolutely correct. I mean, new administration in Springfield and a lot of uncertainty. It all becomes part of a very large conversation that makes this a very difficult decision. So, duly noted. All right, next, board committee reports and correspondence.
But just a quick update on the boys basketball game.
No,
After the first quarter, it was DeKalb 11, Geneva 10. That's a good news. Just wanted to update everybody on the athletic and activities review committee and what we've been working on the last 3 or 4 months. We're in the process of finalizing a new athletic and extracurricular activity handbook. And it's going to, instead of having a separate one for athletes, parents, coaches, and then a busing cart, we're going to put it all into one handbook, which is going to be called an extracurricular handbook. So it will oversee all of this athletics, plus any extracurricular activities that compete will fall under this handbook. And we're hoping to bring that to the next board meeting as an informational item for approval, so, or to inform and then approve it the following year. So, and Tom Kim has been working very closely on this project, so.
This too has taken a while because it's not easy. It's not easy. So there'll be vertical coordination between the junior highs and the high school. They'll all play by the same rules, basically, held to the same standards. As you said, it's anyone who competes. So if the band is going somewhere, they compete. They're held to the same standards as the tennis team or the swimmers or whoever. So I think it was a major undertaking to do it well. It's easy to write down stuff, but it's hard to do it well and have it apply to large and differing organizations effectively. So I've seen what they've been working on. It's very well done. Victoria and Tom Kim have put a ton of effort into this, so you'll be impressed when you see it.
And one other thing that we've started is what part of this group's charge was to see what we can do to put some activities, after school activities in elementary schools. And Billy at Little John and Anna at Lincoln have stepped up and offered to help us with this with a pilot program. And I'm gonna let them talk a little bit about what they're doing at their school starting next week.
Okay, so like Victoria said, I'm Billy Werman I'm the principal at Little John, and this is Anna for you from Lincoln. We are piloting the after-school activities at Little John we're actually piloting them without a bus, just because most of our students live within our area. So we're gonna try that out. I think Anna's gonna go ahead and go for the bus, right? Because we have a lot of, yeah. So we teamed up, our staff, or our school teamed up with 4-H. And we're offering a couple activities that involve chess, super science club, sports, creative art, and kids in the kitchen. So we're gonna go ahead and offer that to our students Monday, Wednesday, next week, the week after, and then the week before spring break. And I think it really came at a great time because our students are so stressed out with park. So when I wrote the letter out to parents, to 3rd through 5th grade parents, I kind of I kind of put that piece in there of let's take a break from park and, you know, and have a little bit of fun, because I know our students are very stressed out with having to take this park exam.
So at Lincoln, we also teamed up with some community partners. I have a combination of some staff members and some parent volunteers, and we are offering clubs like Cooks and Books, Stamping Club, Lego Robotics Club that our friend Denise just got a great grant from the Ed Foundation, so thank you, Ed Foundation. Computer Coding Club, because we are the one-to-one school and we started everybody on coding, and so some kiddos are really excited about that. Today was my first day of registration. I have 80 spaces open and I had 186 kids return their forms, and I've decided that every single parent signature sheet I need is now going home with club registration in the future, because those came back furiously, and I think like parents are gonna sign up on a whole bunch of things for me and sign up for a club. It's like the Ginsu knife commercial. So parents at Lincoln had a choice for transportation home that students could walk if they lived in walking distance that parents would pick up, or that our students from University Village could grab our 4:30 bus, which is kind of a new thing for elementary, and ride from Lincoln Elementary School to University Village. And there's just a central location at University Village where parents will come and grab their kiddos off the bus there. So that really evened the playing field on the registration. Like, kiddos were so excited to be able to do something. And we're just running the same 3 weeks, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday clubs. So we'll come back and give you an update if we survive, Billy. Right. The kids will certainly survive, it's us. So
Well, thank you both
Yeah.
for stepping up and doing this for us. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the good news is we don't have a lot of club committee reports, but anybody that was at the activity fair today has a chance to see how many opportunities the kids have. And the interesting thing was the Lego robotics, one of the most popular, I would say, tables at the activity fair this morning was the robotics club table. There was always kids in front of that that want to know about it. So it goes right to the handbook and everything else. There's a ton of stuff going on, and kids are competing in all kinds of stuff. So, and those not competing in these after-school activities, there's plenty to do here. So thank you, Victoria. Next, teachers visiting teachers. This is Kelly Hamilton, an information item.
And as long as I can get it to this, Denise might have to help me. Denise is there, but I need to Okay, so thanks for having me back. I feel like I'm here quite a bit these days. Anyways, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about a professional development opportunity that we're offering to teachers, which is going to see other teachers. It doesn't sound too novel, but it's really hard to get teachers to take up that opportunity. As Tim will say, he's been trying to get his teachers to do it for years. There's more doing it now, but I'm going to talk to you just about the 8th grade because that's where I spend my time. One of the things that we just don't, as teachers, we just don't take advantage of is watching each other do what we do. And it's a little bit of a culture shift for us to be okay with letting somebody come in and sit in the back of our room and like judge us. So that's really scary because usually the only person who judges me is a 10-year-old. And if they judge me, unfairly, I can be like, well, they're 10. So it's a lot easier to brush that off. So it's a little bit scary. And then it's also difficult to find the time because I'm teaching while you're teaching. So it's hard for me to get over and see what you do. So one of the things that Jenny has done is make that a part of professional development. Like let's take some time, let's put some subs in, give you some release time and help you go to see other teachers do what they do. And then I was thinking I could talk about this from an instructional coach perspective because this is new for me. As the instructional coach, I've been able to help facilitate that PD too, because I can help people I can step in and cover their class for an hour, and I've done that so they can run across town and see somebody else. And I can also be that extra voice in your ear that's like, remember you said you were gonna do that. Remember, don't you wanna do that still? And so some of that, just that little extra push, hopefully it doesn't get annoying, but that's what I've been doing. And so in 8th grade, we had 2 teachers from Rosette spend a full day at Huntley visiting a fellow math teacher's classroom and seeing what goes on. And then as instructional coach during planning time, I'm in there just listening. Really, I'm just listening for how's it going. And the teachers are talking to each other about what they're learning and asking each other questions. And then after that experience, then they were planning further exchanges. Like, oh, you had some great ideas. I want you to come over and talk to my kids. And one of the teachers even came over to Rosette and taught for a period. And then the other teacher videotaped him so she could be like, all right, I'm going to do that, just like he's doing. So it's fantastic professional development and also getting teachers to talk to each other, which sometimes we just don't have the time to do. And then, so here's some things that I've heard teachers say. They're seeing some good things go on and then they want to actually bring it back and do it. And if they want to bring it back and do it, unlike just your one and done professional development, I can come back to you and ask you again, how did you do that? And I can get clarification and that person is right there. And then I'm going to use Mrs. Martin's math class as an example. So she had seen her colleague doing some cool stuff in math, and she really wanted to do it. So here again was fun for me as the instructional coach. I was like, just do it. And then, by the time she'd almost talked herself out of it, I don't know. And then I was like, just do it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? I even told her I'd be there, and then I got called away. But she still did it anyway. And it was so nice. It was very exciting. So I made this, it's only like a minute, 30-second video of her trying this new thing. Let me do a sound check here. Oh, I got some nice background.
It's one cool math room,
So what happens is some very commonly this is diagram to show you the trapezoid W, Y, X, Z, or something like that as by a flip chart or a slide. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what these are. Which one is a slide, which one Y? No. Out of these three words, which one do you think is one? Translation Y. This is what happens during a translation with. Yeah, it moves up and down and then the slide can cut up. So a transformation.
So to an elementary teacher, I think elementary teachers are like, we have small group work going on all the time. But to a middle and high school teacher, it's scary. Because when we let them go, then they just don't do, when you're not watching them, then they don't do what they're supposed to do. So this was really nice. She had this small group that was getting direct instruction. The math game that she was using tracked their usage, so she could go back and look and say, yeah, you were only on for 15 minutes or whatever it was. She could see how they were doing. They were doing skills that she had recommended for them, and it was a really nice game where they were doing angles and slide, flip, and turn. And you saw the one kid, I liked him holding up his ruler to his angle ruler to the screen. And then the other activity, and kudos to her, I think this one was great, was actually an art activity that the directions were on the computer. So the kids saw the directions and then they had the paper and they were doing the art activity. But that was because she got to see this other teacher, she knew what he was doing, and then she came right back, which is what we want from PD, is for teachers to say, wow, this is fantastic, I want to do this in my room. And she was able to do that. So far, we really like it, and I'm gonna try to keep pushing other 8th grade teachers to get into other teachers' classrooms. Any questions about PD?
Anyone?
Incorporating some of the institution days we have with our teachers and so forth to talk about this process and engage them?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, as for right now, I mean, you can correct me, but I think it was sort of like let's push the 8th grade teachers to really embrace that, and then let's see how much bigger we can make it.
Oh, it's very cool. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much. Next, the non-business consent agenda. It's been recommended that the Board of Education approve the non-business consent agenda items A through C. Thank you. Vicki?
Tony Barnes,
Yes.
Vicki Green in favor,
Yes.
Tom Tia,
Yes.
Victoria Newport, yes, Tracy Williams.
Yes. Business and Finance, the district HVAC bid results. Tammy, this is the information.
As y'all may remember, last October, when I came in front of you asking for permission to move forward and getting some bid results for the Jefferson boiler and chiller. That was a primary project we're looking to do, as well as the cost to add a chiller to the boiler system at Founders, and then some air conditioning being added to several areas at the Hunter Middle School. We knew this was a large project with many different pieces to it, but we were looking at we wanted to know what the pricing was for each of these areas. The results have come back, and they are included in your packet. Just to start out, the first one was the Jefferson boiler and chiller. With that, the lowest responsible bidder was Mechanical Inc. from Freeport, Illinois. We've done a lot of work with Mechanical Inc. over the years, and you may recall they also were the most responsible bidder for the Little Gem boiler and chiller last summer. With contingency and architect engineering costs, we did come in $107,000 over budget. I don't really have a reason for that. It's just how bid results sometimes come in based on the number of bidders that come through. With that, that includes the chiller, but that can be a portion that could be approved or denied separate from the base bid. Those are two separate bids. And then the second base bid was for the Huntley air conditioning proposals. Base bid being several classrooms in the west wing that had not been air conditioned through previous projects. And then it also included air conditioning in the media center, the pool lobby, the kitchen serving area, and then the second floor offices that are also used for some of the student services that used to be the administration and student services when the old high school was there. And then the third, and that project came in under budget by approximately $90,000 if all alternates were accepted. And then the last project was the Founders chiller system. And that was One Source Mechanical, which is out of DeKalb, Illinois. They are the lowest responsible bidder. That was strictly to add a chiller to Founders Elementary because that boiler is already equipped as a 2-pipe system. That project did come in over budget by just over $88,000. So at the point we're at tonight, we're just presenting the bid results for any questions you may have. Andrea and I have been meeting pretty regularly, looking at budget numbers, so that at the next meeting, you can come back and with some more specific numbers in regards to funding for these projects and what we truly are going to recommend to you for approval. I will give some little insight. We have had many issues with the Jefferson boiler over the last couple of weeks, spending quite a bit of time and money into keeping it running. It is on its end of life, in my opinion. And if we are looking to do a boiler, I always recommend moving forward and adding the chiller at the same time. When we look at the cost of adding it at a later date, for example, with Founders, we're looking at a project that's going to be almost $500,000 to add it to Founders. It's a larger chiller, but it's still being added to an existing 2-pipe system. So in regards to where the funding would come from each of these projects, the Jefferson boiler, $600,000 would come from life safety, and the remaining would come from the operations and maintenance budget. And any other projects approved would also come from the operations and maintenance budget. So that's why we're taking a hard look at what needs to be coming forward from our opinion in regards to being recommended and what we feel should be delayed to the future.
Any questions for Tammy? Yeah.
If this comes back for action, can we get these bids, each one separately from the others, so that we can vote on them individually?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We can phrase each of the approvals separately. As you remember with base bids and alternates, you have to approve the base to move forward with approving any of the alternates under it. But if you should decide to not approve the base, then we just don't approve the alternates.
Well, I appreciate you guys working through this even now that you have some solid numbers to work with. Spending a little more time on it. We appreciate that. All right, thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Next, the approval of the lunch fee increase. This is an action item. It's been recommended that the Board of Education approve an increase in school lunch fees to $2.60 at the elementary level and $2.75 at the secondary level. So, thank you. Thank you. Andrea?
Unless
Anything?
you have any questions.
Any discussion? Very good. Vicki?
Vicky Hernandez,
Yes.
Palmatia,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Tracy Williams,
Yes.
Colin Barnes.
Yes.
Next, the approval of change in the occupational physical therapy service provider. This is also an action item. It's been recommended that the Board of Education utilize NIA for its occupational physical therapy contract. Do I have a motion?
Can I say something first?
Thank you, Ken, in a second.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. Motion?
So,
Thank you. Second? Okay, don't have a second?
question,
Please.
where does that leave us? Because are we gonna approve the previous contract that we have, or are we without services at this point in time going forward for next year?
That's where we're at. No services for next year.
So,
When does this contract end that we're currently?
Well, at the end of the school year, but they're already staffing for next year. The issue is OT, PT people in general are very hard to find. So, moving this off, we're gonna have it. Even NIA will have a difficult time finding people.
just if you don't mind.
Please.
Just because since we didn't have time to
Mhm.
this slip in and come to discussion, since it was in the second. It's my understanding, Doug, that even though this is an incremental cost from the group that we would hire, the reimbursement from Medicaid
Yes.
would offset all those costs and hopefully
That's
give
what-
us better service.
That's what we know the service will be better because we already use NIA for budget itinerants and so forth.
The difference in cost though, what was that difference? I mean, we think Medicaid is gonna be a complete wash.
Yeah. That's how it was presented.
Yes.
I guess I would like to see just that we know that the cost that NIA is charging us is in line with other counties around us and what they pay for the same services.
I think Dr. Walsh can address that if you want.
That would be a great time.
Thank you, and I apologize for not following the board going.
No, don't be silly, no.
Sorry about that. It makes me good. So, I did talk to Ms. Newport this morning, and one of the things that she suggested, we do was just look at, services, OT, PT specifically, if we could get that kind of from another cooperative, meaning are we getting, sort of steamrolled into NIA? Are they charging so much money in comparison to other cooperatives? I chose a cooperative. I called a cooperative that works with 18 school districts, so that it's similar to NIA, a larger cooperative, and had them send me their OT, PT costs and calculated it for our district. And what it came out to be was that rather than going per day, they go a yearly per student rate for OT and PT, and then they do it by an intensity of service. So most of our students fell into that level 2 intensity. And when I looked at it, it came out to be $2,000 less than what NIA contract was going to be. In addition, I asked, well, what if we decided we wanted to utilize you? And he said that at this time, the cooperative, they would only service the 18 districts they currently do because of proximity, meaning the reason the cooperative developed is the neighboring districts close by, they could utilize the staff. And so to have their staff come all the way out to DeKalb wouldn't be cost effective for them. The prices would go up because you would have to consider transportation and a lot of other overhead costs. Also, as he said, occupational therapists and physical therapists are in high demand, both in medical and in schools. And so as a consequence, there aren't that many OTs and PTs, so he wouldn't even be able to find the occupational physical therapist. He only has enough to cover the districts that he currently works with.
So if they were to bid this, it would turn out to be $2,000 less than what the bid was from NIA.
With the current, I would argue it would be more because it isn't including, it may be more because that is A, based on our current numbers, and then the B part is he only sent me their daily rate sheet for this year. And he did not send me the daily rate sheet for next year. And when I talked to a current district that utilizes them, so I talked to both the cooperative and the district that utilizes them, they had told their current districts that they were going to have a 3% increase in the rate for OTPT. So I would argue it would be more.
They're in line, the two costs.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But they're not serving DeKalb.
No, and they would not serve DeKalb. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, go
On
ahead.
the board packet, you highlighted the Medicaid reimbursement, and there's an asterisk that says, we'll receive an additional $600,000 in additional funding. I'm missing the math there, because the increase between one contract and the other is 200,000, so what's the 600,000 additional funding?
Thank you for asking that. When I met with Mr. Steve Corona, who runs Service Tracker, he also does our Medicaid billing. I discussed with him district revenues for student services, and one of the things he pointed out to me was that we weren't totally capturing all the money we could from Medicaid reimbursement. And so I asked how, and one of the ways we could do that would be, first of all, through specialized teaching assistants, having them track their, it's called a daily log. They track it and we get reimbursement for that. We hadn't been doing that in our district. So what he did is he calculated a conservative, that's what Andrea and I recommended, conservative, how much we would generate from doing that, and it was $600,000. We are not spending all that $600,000 on this proposal. So that's why, so yes, we're getting more money. In addition, we also retrained our related service staff on how to document and Medicaid bill too. So they are up to date with that too. Basically, we've made it a priority, and it has been embraced by certified and classified staff because they see it as a positive thing.
So our resident number expert, who I trust implicitly, you're telling me if we went this route, there would be no increase ultimately because of the supplemental funding we get from Medicaid to bring on this new contract.
Correct. I would add, I consulted with Andrea on this as well.
No doubt.
Okay.
Well, there's a motion, so on the floor. I mean, it just needs to be seconded, so it's seconded.
Okay. Well, to summarize, we have to supply these services. The company that was supplying them was unable to effectively execute the contract. In fact, fell rather short. We didn't hear anything from the owner of that company last meeting that impressed me with remedies to correct their issues. So that company clearly was not one we would want to re-up with, which left basically NIA in our region. The last question is, how long is this contract for? Is this year to year?
Yes, it is. Sorry, it's hard for me to talk.
No, that's okay.
Your face. Yes, it is year to year. What NIA does a really outstanding job of doing is they do projection meetings with all the directors where they go through each service that we're currently getting, where they look at the current students receiving service as well as their daily rates and give us projections on that. And then at that time, we can decide as a district to either A, go straight with what they're recommending, B, talk about it a little bit and say, oh, what is this? Could we do this differently? So yes, and then also, I would say the other part that NIA can do is we do use them for other services too. So I've been through that process before with them. They have a supervisor that specializes only in OTPT that we need with, so.
All right, so I think then that where we're at is we have to find a service provider. We're
That is
down to NIA is our option you presented at this point. We have a motion from Tom and a second from Cohen. So I think we're ready to vote on those. Any more questions on whether or not our finances are?
I think Daniel did a terrific job of answering my questions that
Okay.
I brought up today and finding on an answer on another.
No, I appreciate it.
So thank you.
Yeah, and the unnerving part of this is that there are so few of these companies. Normally you can go out and get several bids, like boilers and chillers, you know, I mean, we have no shortage of bidders there. But to supply these sorts of specialized services, it's very limited, clearly. And I'm sure the suburbs have some more options than we do, but I can certainly understand that if you have specialized folks taking on a district 40 miles to the west, just makes it almost undoable. It clearly does for them. So it's not a great situation to be in, but I think that's the summary. So, Vicky, roll call or vote, please.
Tom Mattia,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Tracy Williams,
Yes.
Colin Barnes,
Yes.
Vicky Herman Faber.
Yes.
It's a bit of an unorthodox approach, Danielle. I'm sorry, but we got to be online, so no, you know. Lastly, I would like to thank the Mitchell kids. You guys were awesome. You know what? You picked a great meeting to come to because we're done.
Score update. It's Geneva 41, DeKalb 35, end of third quarter. Down 6.
So, yeah, I move to adjourn by Tom, a second. All in favor, say aye. Thank you.